Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of r/AITA. In today's episode, AITA for putting an outside lock on my bathroom to prevent my wife from using it? AITA for saying again, after my sister announced that she's pregnant with twins. AITA for finally telling my mother-in-law that her mac and cheese tastes terrible? Before we get started, make sure to subscribe so you will never miss a video. So let's get started. AITA for putting an outside lock on my bathroom to prevent my wife from using it? My wife, 25F, and I, 31M, bought a house together about 6 months ago. This is our first time living together. Our house is an old American house that has been reformed many times. As a consequence of this, it has a silly layout where there are two bathrooms right next to each other that share the same wall. When we pulled the trigger on buying it, we made an agreement that I'd take the bathroom on the left with the shower and she'd take the bathroom on the right with a bathtub. Hers is much more spacious than mine. I soon learned though that my wife preferred to use my bathroom, but only to defecate. She'll go pee or take a bath or do her makeup in her bathroom, but when the time comes to have a bowel movement, she only wants to use my toilet. I usually wouldn't mind this, but the issue is that she sits very far forward on the seat, which leaves streaks in the bowl virtually every time she goes. I first tried approaching this civilly by asking why she used my bathroom. She gave me a vague answer about preferring it. Then I asked if she could at least sit back a bit more. She said it was none of my concern how she sat on the toilet. I offered to change bathrooms with her, to which she said no thanks. Then I asked her to stop using it and she said it was her house too, so she should be allowed to go wherever she wants. I'm honestly tired of opening the toilet lid to see her stool stuck to the bowl. The day before yesterday, I installed a lock on the door that I could open with a key. At first, she didn't seem to take the hint. She asked me for a key for the bathroom, to which I said no. Then, as she really had to go, she started to panic and asked me again and again to open it. I told her that she has a perfectly good toilet in her bathroom. She finally relented but came out of the bathroom extremely upset with me. She's been ticked off and demanding that I remove the lock since. Was I out of line here? NTA. She is obviously using your bathroom to shit in because she doesn't want the mess/smell in her bathroom. You've talked with her about it and she won't be reasonable. So, sure, put a lock on the outside. I don't get why you guys have your own bathrooms, but whatever. That being said, this doesn't sound like it's going to be a good marriage if you can't even work out shitting arrangements. NTA, why can't she defecate in her own toilet? Does she not want to clean up her own mess? That's disgusting. Man, start going number 2 in her toilet. NTA, unless you don't look into why your feral spouse isn't fully house-trained yet. Her prefrontal cortex should by now have the capacity for her to understand that adults don't leave their scat trails in toilets. By the sounds of it, she was borderline prepared to just about shit herself while begging to use his bathroom instead of using her own. NTA. How utterly bizarre, both her insistence on using your toilet and her apparent refusal to clean up after herself. WTF, why is she being weird and gross? Tell her to clean up after herself, NTA. Then, as she really had to go, she started to panic and asked me again and again to open it. This line really has me wondering why she would panic. That is a bizarre reaction to the situation. As always, communication is the key. Sit down with her to discuss this. She said it was none of my concern how she sat on the toilet. Well, yes it is, if she is leaving her stools on your toilet for you to look at. Would you agree to her using your bathroom if she agreed to clean the toilet every single time? WTF, is this some kind of power move she is trying to pull? Anyway, NTA, you guys had an agreement and she is going back on it with no real explanation why. I agree, if sitting a little further back fixes the problem, why not do, and why get so angry about it? Seems intentional. Why didn't you just start going to crap in her toilet? I have a feeling that would have solved your problem. She would probably much rather clean after herself than you. AITA for saying again, after my sister announced that she's pregnant with twins. My 21F sister, 32F, has been married to her husband 33M for 8 years. They already have 6 kids total, the last one born 5 months ago. Yesterday, my sister had announced that she's 3 months pregnant with twins, and while everyone was congratulating her, I said out loud, "Oh my God, again? Can't your stupid husband leave you alone?" I didn't mean to say it out loud, but it slipped out, and my sister looked at me angrily and literally dragged me into another room and asked, "YTF did you say that?" I told her that she and her husband have been pregnant every year for the last 8 years and that she needs to take a break. I was worried about her having so many babies in such a short time, and I didn't want anything bad happening to her. She then said, "How about you leave us alone and worry about your own shit? This is my life, so F***ck off." My mother told me that I should apologize for being rude, but I told her that I won't apologize for showing concern. But now I just can't help thinking that maybe I was being an asshole and sticking my nose into other people's business. I was just worried, but maybe I was being a jerk. AITA? Edit. Yes, I do babysit my sister's kids sometimes, and all 6 of them at the same time whenever they need me to and if I'm available. They pay me $30 to $50 per hour, but their kids are pretty destructive and they don't respect other adults like they're supposed to, so it's a full chore watching after them. I'm aware that the "stupid husband" comment was inappropriate, but I have almost no filter and my stupid mouth says shit before my brain can stop it. And I've seen some comments talk about the ages and assuming my sister is 21? I'm 21F, my sister is 32F, and her husband is 33M. Update. I apologized to my sister for insulting her husband and making that rude comment, but I told her that I'm still worried about her having so many kids back to back and that just concerned in general about her health and well-being. She actually forgave me, and she said it's because 1. I'm her youngest sister, 2. She knows about my problem with keeping my thoughts to myself and that I'm working on myself, and 3. She knows that I am concerned for her and she appreciates it, but she has assured me that she's fine and said that this pregnancy wasn't planned and her husband plans on getting a vasectomy because they both want this pregnancy to be the last. For those asking in the comments, she and her husband can afford to have kids. He runs a very successful business and she is still co-partner with her best friend in a company that they both started before she got married. How she manages to juggle being a full-time mom and work here and there is beyond me, but she does. That's why I babysit sometimes when the nanny isn't available 24/7. Her husband was the one who initially wanted a big family and my sister just went along with the idea. But that's their business. YTA. I said out loud, "Oh my God, again?" Rude and asshole behavior, but somewhat understandable. Can't your stupid husband leave you alone? What is wrong with you? You said this out loud, and still think you may not be the asshole? Get out of here with that nonsense. I feel the YTA could come with a caveat. Sure, it was rude, but would be interested to hear more about her sister's financial situation and whatnot. 8 kids is a lot. And as crazy as it sounds, they're all near each other in age. I feel bad for the kids, they're gonna have to be sharing rooms, hand-me-downs, etc. Kids are expensive, let alone 8. YTA. But it needed to be said. You are a good AH. This, but also I'm so distracted by the time frame, isn't getting pregnant 2 months after giving birth not really recommended? Doesn't mom need time to heal, etc., etc.? YTA. Look, I don't fault you for thinking that. All of my SILs are prolific Mormon housewives. I have so many nieces and nephews, it's obscene. I and my wife make jokes about the 8th kid rappelling down the umbilical cord or falling out when we're alone together. In front of the rest of the family? We offer our congratulations. She could be perfectly healthy. Sure, maybe not, But she is right, that is none of your concern. If she's not having massive issues with the pregnancies and her husband has never given you abusive vibes, their incessant breeding is really none of your business. Just apologize and explain that you were initially concerned, but now realize that it's none of your business. Maybe throw in that you were being biased because you could never have so many children unless something hinky was going on, but you realize that your sister isn't you, and that you're just happy to know that she's happy and healthy and really feel bad about embarrassing her and yourself in front of the family. In my opinion, NTA. That's too many kids to give adequate care to, and being pregnant consecutively for that long probably is really hard on someone's body and mental health, whether they want to admit it or not. NTA. We as a society need to move away from this idea that parents are above reproach. That's too many children to adequately care for in today's society. You could have been more tactful, but someone needs to think about the well-being of her kids here. The kids and our world. We're not treating our planet well enough for the number of people it has. Less is more. Okay, I admit it, I laughed when I read OP's post. I mean, you probably blurted out loud what a lot of people would be thinking. But yes, OP, YTA and your mother and sister are right, it's really not your business, and it was a rude thing to say. You are still very young, and I'm sure they will forgive you. You might want to also explain that you were not ill-wishing these new babies and that you will welcome them with love. AITA for finally telling my mother-in-law that her mac and cheese tastes terrible? My husband 30M and I 28F have been married for 2 years, together for 5 years, and currently 6 months pregnant. We are very excited and blessed because I've had some complications in getting pregnant. I have a very good relationship with my in-laws, and if any of us ever had problem, we are able to talk it through. Except for one thing. My mother-in-law has her famous mac and cheese that everyone in her family absolutely loves. I, however, found it disgusting on day one, but I didn't want to come off as rude and ungrateful, so I pulled through it without saying anything. I told my husband about it and he said that his mother has been making it for decades, perfecting the recipe, and she would be deeply offended if anyone told her anything bad about her mac and cheese, so I should just find the right moment to tell her. He for some reason loves it, so he didn't want to be the one to tell her. Which I totally understand because it is my issue and I had to deal with it. It's been almost 2 years of me pretending. So 2 days ago I decided to just tell her. It was a family dinner where my husband's parents had invited us over, and of course, his mother was making her so-called famous mac and cheese. I almost threw up at the smell and I couldn't bear the thought of eating it, probably because I was pregnant. So at dinner, when I was offered the mac and cheese, I politely declined and said no thank you. My mother-in-law looked at me and asked why. You should eat. Good for the baby. And I just went right out with it, I'm sorry, but I don't like your mac and cheese. Everything else tastes delicious, but this is the one thing I simply cannot eat anymore. She looked so deeply offended and she literally snapped, well, thanks for being honest, and didn't even look or speak to me for the rest of the evening. My husband was on my side and tried to speak to his mother, but all I know is that it didn't work because she has been cold to me ever since. What was wrong with the mac and cheese? Her perfecting the recipe ended up with this result: mac and cheese combined with salmon, kimchi, pineapple, seaweed salad, collard greens, onions, and garlic. I don't have a problem with the greens or onion, but the rest tastes so disgustingly wrong with mac and cheese. However, the reason why I think I might have been an asshole is because, like my husband said, she has been perfecting this recipe for years, her entire family clearly loves it, and I tell her that her perfected and loved mac and cheese is terrible. Am I the asshole? Edit. I did tell her that because I am pregnant it wasn't possible for me to stomach the ingredients, but she still didn't want to talk to me. Another edit. I'm French and my husband's family is Korean, so that will explain the ingredients. I do enjoy salmon, kimchi, and seaweed salads, but it greatly depends on which dishes it's served with. And since I've been pregnant, I've even developed an aversion to several foods that I used to love. This recipe breaks at least 3 Geneva Conventions. That's not mac and cheese, that's a bioweapon. NTA. I would eat it. But I'm Asian, so that combo sounds fine to me. 100%, but I'd have blamed my pregnancy for the sudden pickiness and avoided the conflict like a coward. One of those rare cases where lying to spare feelings is better, at least in my eyes. But I also haven't been subjected to that horrible concoction. Yeah, ick, but ever since I had my first, I just can't stand a ton of dishes I loved before more than anything, like your mac and cheese. Must be a permanent change in my tastes, what a tragedy. Her perfecting the recipe ended up with this result: mac and cheese combined with salmon, kimchi, pineapple, seaweed salad, collard greens, onions, and garlic. NTA a million times over. That thing she makes is not mac and cheese. It barely qualifies as food. What it is a crime against humanity, and she should be jailed for it. You lost me with the salmon and kimchi in the mac and cheese. You get NTA for standing up against crimes against cuisine. I've had kimchi mac and cheese at a couple restaurants. It's good. But maybe not all of those ingredients at the same time. People who won't take a polite no thank you deserve to hear the harsh truth. NTA. Also, that sounds disgusting altogether. Her perfecting the recipe ended up with this result: mac and cheese combined with salmon, kimchi, pineapple, seaweed salad, collard greens, onions, and garlic. My brain doesn't think you're a liar, but my heart badly wants you to be lying. Right? I thought maybe she used an offensive cheese, like Roquefort or Stilton. When I saw the ingredients, I had to double-check the sub. Beyond maybe the garlic or onion, none of those ingredients belong in mac and cheese. And certainly not all together. AITA. I was all for AITA based on the title, then I read it and thought ta. I then read your Mills recipe and think she needs to be tried for war crimes. NTA. When she first asked, you said no thank you. You didn't insult her, you just said you weren't interested. That was short, crisp, and to the point. She wanted to know why, so you told her after she asked. Good for you. NTA, that is the most heinous mac and cheese recipe I've ever seen. If you made it to the end of the video, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share, and we will see you in the next video.